Good day to everyone. We in the second group are here to discuss and to talk about technical and operational definitions. These are the following objectives. First is to know the meaning and purpose of technical and operational definitions. Second is to discuss the guidelines for writing technical and operational definitions. And the last one is to know the importance of technical and operational definitions in writing a research paper. In research, definition of terms is usually an annex to a work either at the beginning or more likely near the end with a list of acronyms, jargons, credits, etc. This is an important part of a research paper or report in which the key or important terms in the study are clearly defined. Hence, technical and operational definitions is indeed important and necessary in research, owing to the fact that technical definitions are used to introduce the vocabulary which makes communication in a particular field succinct and brief. On the other hand, operational definitions is important and necessary in research to use in research because it lends credibility and to ensure reproducibility in the results of the study.
Now let us go on to our first term, which is definition. I assume that everyone in this class knows what it is. But let me explain. According to Cambridge Dictionary, definition is a statement that explains the meaning of a word or phrase. It also answers the question, what is it? So a definition can use words, phrases, or symbols to elaborate the meaning of a term. Let me give you an example. Business. Business is the activity of making, buying, selling, or supplying goods or services for money. So that is definition. Before we move on to the two types of definitions, I just want to say that there is a thin line or thin border between technical and operational definitions. But let me discuss technical definition first. So, technical definition is also called conceptual or theoretical definition. It uses the universal meaning or the meaning that everyone knows and understands. These definitions can be seen in books, articles, journals, and of course, dictionaries. Technical definition also answers the questions, what exactly are we talking about and what exactly is it? In answering what exactly are we talking about, a definition can provide clarification on the meaning of a vague or ambiguous term. Ambiguous means it is unclear or uncommon to you, and this might cause misunderstanding or confusion. When you use a word or phrase and the meaning of it is unclear, ambiguous, or vague, we will use a definition to define that term. As for answering what exactly is it, we can use a technical definition to describe or explain what distinguishes an object or a concept. So remember that whenever we are talking about technical definition, we are talking about the concept of a term. Let's move on. It is a description of how something was designed to work by its inventor, its engineers, or its computer programmers. It might be a more accurate description. So, as I said earlier, technical definition talks more about the concept of a term. Well, how do we distinguish technical from operational? In technical, we use the pattern NCD, or name, class, and defining characteristic. So, I will give an example. Our term is the telephone. So, a telephone is a device that allows to conduct conversations over long distances using signals and not Wi-Fi. So, our term or name here is telephone. The class is device, and the defining characteristic is that it conducts conversations over long distances using signals and not Wi-Fi. Now it is time to use the concept. For example, I have an iPhone and an iPod Touch. An iPhone can be considered as a telephone because it can conduct calls through signals, loads, and SIM cards, while an iPod Touch cannot generate calls by using signals only. It uses Wi-Fi for FaceTiming. So always remember that we are talking about the concept in technical definition. And technical definition could be used in expanding the vocabulary since most of these terms are explained in the exact manner.
Good morning, I am Carl Christian Mkaya and I would like to present to you the tips on how to write the technical definition. In this area, we will be focusing on the question how. This is gonna be the test for everyone if you have a humongous scope in writing or composing your thoughts. This may or may not be effective for you, but my goal here is for you to be a better writer or just identify the technical definitions by your own understanding. So without further ado, here are some guidelines in making technical definitions. First on the list, use NCD or name, class, defining characteristics. Name is the term being defined. Class or group is where the terms belong to. And defining characteristics are the things that make it different from all the other objects in its group. Using mercury, metal, and becomes liquid at room temperature, we can use the NCD pattern. Mercury is the name of our term, metal is the class of the term, and the defining characteristic is liquid at room temperature. If we combine it all, our technical definition will be mercury is a metal that is liquid if left at a room temperature, which as we search the meaning of mercury using the internet or books, we can literally say that they have similarities in terms of technicalities. Do you get that? Do you find it easy and help you to follow our topic? If yes, you are doing a great job. And if not, here's another example I prepared for you. How about the word rafflesia? It is a plant, and yes, it has enormous flowers. Now we know the word and some pieces of information, let us use our NCD pattern. So, the sentence would be like this. Rafflesia is a plant that has enormous flowers. Next in line is to be accurate. Accuracy is to be ensuring that the information is correct and without any mistakes. The quality of information is measured by accuracy, timeliness, completeness, relevance, and if it's easy to understand by the readers. So accuracy is important for the quality of information. For you to understand thoroughly, here is a good example. Medical information is important because the life of our people depends on it. So doctors and nurses must always be accurate to the words they tend to say to our patients. Third on the list, use facts and not opinions. The reasons you want that kind of resource when trying to compose a technical definition or explaining those thoughts is that all of those characteristics will lend credibility to the argument you're making with your research. Both you and your audience will simply find it easier to believe and will have more confidence in the argument being made when you include those type of sources. For you to cope up with what I'm trying to say, I will give you two statements. Taguig Science High School is the best school in the Philippines. That is the first statement. While the second sentence is, Taguig Science High School is a public specialized secondary science high school in the Philippines. They both have the purpose to define the school, but the second statement is clearly unbiased, objective, and facts were possible. While the first statement, it's obvious that it's an opinion by the way I construct the sentence. So it's more appropriate to use facts than opinions in writing technical definitions. Next in line is to use the right level of detail. Maintaining an appropriate level of detail in any body of the text is part of ensuring that the cognitive effort required by the reader is appropriate to the general subject of the reading as a whole. In short, having too much information is overwhelming to the reader. You should practice yourself to be more composed. Try to focus on one thought and move on to the end of the discussion. One more thing to do is to grade your language. Do not try to impress your readers with complex words. Simple is better. Simple words help you express or convey your message clearly to the readers. Choose words that will effectively convey your ideas and clarify to your message. Like for example, a solenoid is an inductive coil that serves as attractive electromagnet. Some readers won't understand the word inductive and attractive electromagnet, so we change them to more simple way of constructing. A solenoid is a coil that converts electric energy to magnetic energy that can perform mechanical functions. Isn't it more understandable and reader-friendly? Now finally, we have our last tip. Avoid circles. Writing concisely also involves avoiding redundancies. Redundancy is when you use more words than necessary to express something, especially words and phrases in the same sentence that means the same thing. For example, a lightning conductor is a device that conducts lightning. Don't make your reader feel like they're riding a roller coaster and the happenings are always on repeat. Like in the sentence, lightning conductor is used at the first part of the sentence. Then at the end, we can see that there's conduct, lightning. We just change the terms and turn into another word. Use words once in a sentence and twice if necessary. That's it. This is the end of tips on how to write technical definitions.
Here are some examples of what exactly a technical definition is. So, as what Carl has mentioned earlier, we use the name, class, and defined characteristics or the NCD pattern in writing a technical definition. Number 1. A microwave is a kitchen appliance that heats food using electromagnetic waves. In this very first example, we can already distinguish that it is a technical definition, since it follows the NCD pattern. We have microwave for the name, kitchen appliance for the class, and for the characteristics we have the heats food using electromagnetic waves. Number 2. Automobile is a machine that has 4 wheels and includes details of the automobile that makes it function. Again, it follows the NCD pattern. Our name should be automobile, machine for the class, and 4 wheels and includes details which defines the characteristics of an automobile. For the last two numbers, number 4. Solenoid is a coil that converts electric energy to magnetic energy that can perform mechanical functions. Number 5. Parliament is a group of people responsible for making laws in some kind of government. For all the examples I've stated, they all have something in common: the NCD pattern, the accuracy and preciseness of each sentence. As you've noticed, all of those sentences were brief.
Let us now move on to the different types of technical definitions. Firstly, we have the parenthetical definition. These are words that quickly explain a term and are included within the same sentence as the word is being defined. It could be a synonym or a brief phrase. For a reader to understand the meaning of a term, the parenthetical definition uses homonyms or phrases in parentheses. Let us look at the example here. The viscosity or thickness of the solution makes it difficult to pour. The word viscosity may be uncommon to some readers, so the writer uses a synonym to help clarify the sentence that consists of unfamiliar words. Second, we have the sentence definition. Sentence definition can provide the additional information needed to help increase comprehension. The meaning should be defined in 1 or 2 sentences only. It also uses the NCD or name, class, and defining characteristic pattern. To further understand the sentence definition, let us take a look at the example below. The heart is an organ that pumps blood into the body. Let us look at the NCD pattern. The heart is the name, the organ is the class, and defining characteristic is it pumps blood. We can easily say that this is a sentence definition since we labeled which part of the sentence is the NCD. And lastly, we have text-data definition. This can be found in longer text where the audience requires more information. The first two types we discussed earlier are the common types used, but we also have an extended definition. These used as essays or paragraph to explain the meaning of a term. For example, 8 ball is a game played with a cue ball and 15 object balls. Balls 1 to 7 are solids, balls 9 to 15 are stripes. The first of two players break to begin the play. If one or more object balls goes into the break, they will continue the play by choosing a solid or strip object ball and calling the pocket that the ball will go in after the shot. Play alternates when a player fails to pocket a cold ball. Once a player pockets either all solids or all stripes, they must pocket the 8th ball to win. Pocketing the 8th ball before this point, except for on the break, results in a loss.
Next is the operational definition. What is an operational definition? It defines an object, event, variable, concept, or construct in terms of the specific processes, tests, and measurements used to determine its presence or quantity. Operational definition transforms theoretical definitions into observable events. An operational definition is the specific meaning of a word or phrase given to it by the group of people who use the word in a specific context. It also states which characteristic will be measured in the assignment of a value to the concept or construct under study. These are the examples of operational definition. Number 1. Weight is the amount of force the earth has on objects and can be determined with spring by measuring the length that spring stretches when an object is attached. It is an example of operational definition because it can measure or observe the force put on the spring and how long the string stretches. Number 2. King is a sovereign head of a country or state. In example number 2, it really depends on the study. It measures the capacity of the king to rule a country or a state. Number 3. Self-supporting students are students who work 3 or more hours a day to provide their own needs. Here, in example number 3, the time that the self-supporting students give to their job is also measurable. So it is an example of operational definition.
To better understand our topic, let us compare technical definition from operational definition. In technical definition, as it was said earlier, we're going to use the NCD rule or the name, class, define rule, while in operational, we don't use any rule at all. In technical, we're always on the objective, while in operational, we're always on the subjective. What is this objective and subjective means? Objective means that it was always or were always based on observation and facts, while in subjective, it was based on opinion and assumptions. In technical, we use technical terms, while operational use on how it was used or applied in that certain sentence, paragraph, or how was that word defined. Technical definitions mostly used or were mostly used on textbooks and encyclopedias, while operational is used on blogs, comments, social media, or anything or any literature that uses more emotions to relate to the readers. Also, always remember that both technical and operational should be concise, clear, and unambiguous.
So for this week's activity, this will be a group activity. Each group will be given 2 words that their respondents need to define. It may be a family member, a friend, a classmate, or anyone they know. The group will define the definition used and explain why. The respondents' responses may take the form of a video or screenshot of their conversation. Furthermore, the group explanation may take in the form of video or PowerPoint presentation. Do not forget to add the name of the participants at the end. So, the deadline of this activity is on June 7, 2021, Monday, 11:59 p.m. So, if you have any clarifications, just message any of the members and we will answer. That's all. Thank you.